You are probably using credit cards wrong. My husband and I know because until recently, we were too. The average American is in about $8,000 of credit card debt. According to one survey, 56 million Americans have been in credit card debt for at least a year. And in 2022, 13% of credit card accounts made only the minimum payment due each month. That means that they are not able to pay off their balance, they're accruing interest, and they're caught in a cycle that is really difficult to get out of. Now, maybe you're listening to this thinking, I'm not in credit card debt, I pay my statement balance every month, and I never pay any interest. Guess what? You may not be in credit card debt, but you may be in credit card float. And that's where we were just a month ago. How do you know if you're in credit card float? Try asking yourself one question. If all of your card balances were due today, could you pay them and still have money to pay the rest of your bills? Do you even know the answer to that question? 2 months ago, we didn't. If the answer is no, then you're on credit card float. And don't worry, you're not alone. Now, before getting into the detail of how to manage credit cards the right way, I want to take a moment to acknowledge something that I've realized in the last 2 months. And that's just how emotional finances and our financial position can be. It's a really vulnerable conversation to have with someone and with ourselves, and it can be really difficult to confront. There can be so much emotion wrapped up into it. We tell ourselves a lot of stories in our own heads about decisions that we've made with money and how we manage our money and how responsible we are and all of that kind of stuff. Maybe we didn't have financial health modeled for us very well when we were kids. I know I didn't, and we've carried some of those habits into our future as adults. So I want to take a moment to just say how important it is that we be kind to ourselves in this whole process. We all have to start somewhere, and the only way to start is by starting where you are right now. And that might be an uncomfortable thing. In starting this journey of financial wellness and independence, I have watched a lot of YouTube videos, listened to a lot of podcasts, read some books about finances, goal setting, productivity, and of course, the tone of all of that advice varies wildly. Now, this is our third YouTube video, and in considering what I want this channel to be, I found that I've really gravitated towards the content that is really authentic and that really focuses on whole life health. Content that encourages discipline, goal setting, and productivity, but in a sustainable way that is focused on finding real meaning and happiness in our lives. Content that focuses on enjoying our lives now and also preparing for the future, and not at the cost of our mental, emotional, or physical health. It's about viewing every dollar as a choice and feeling empowered in being able to make those choices intentionally. Taking care of the person that we are today while also taking care of the person that we will be in the future. Now, if you're on this journey or you want to be on this journey, I found a lot of really inspiring and amazing YouTubers who I would highly recommend, and I will go ahead and link them in the description below in case you're interested in following some of the folks that I follow and have found really inspiring. Now, as I was saying, when we first started this financial journey 2 months ago, we came to the realization that we were relatively high income earners who were living essentially paycheck to paycheck on credit card float. And I'm not gonna lie, saying that out loud on the internet for all 12 of you to see is a little embarrassing. My husband Eric and I started using YNAB 2 months ago. We set up our budget, connected our accounts, and then we saw a bunch of yellow on our credit card balances. And that yellow was the credit card float. Money that we had already spent, that we did not have in our accounts, and that we couldn't take out of other things because we owed other bills. And look, it's not a great feeling to know that you're not where you want to be financially. It would have been really easy to beat ourselves up about all the choices that we've made in the past, all of the ways that we'd spent our money. And it would feel really easy to feel overwhelmed by the challenging days and months ahead and feel demotivated because the road ahead might be long and full of challenges, and that could lead to more feelings of failure along the way. And I'm not making excuses, we're all responsible for our own spending, but when you consider that the average American sees 10,000 ads a day, and every store, website, television program, social media platform, even a lot of budgeting software are constantly marketing to you things that you don't need and telling you that you need them in order to keep up with the trend. impress your friends and family, feel fulfilled, and that you can buy them using financing, introductory offers, pay in 4 models. It's honestly no mystery how so many of us end up with more credit card debt than we have in our savings account. But I digress. It would be really easy to get down on ourselves, writing an internal narrative that we're irresponsible, that we're not smart, that we're bound to be broke forever, that we're never gonna retire. But none of that would be helpful. So instead, I decided to use some of the sage advice that I have received from mentors in the past to shift that mindset into one that would actually be productive so that we can look at our financial position 12 months from now and see all of the progress that we've made and feel really proud. Any job can be tackled when you have the right tools. When we started using YNAB, not only did we finally have a clear and complete picture of our finances for the first time ever, but we finally felt equipped to take control and do something about it. And that is so empowering. Before YNAB, we only thought about whether we could make the payments on our credit cards without accruing interest. But YNAB brought us back to basics and made us think about our credit card usage a little bit differently. More like debit cards than credit cards. And this really clicked something into place in our minds and gave us a really specific goal to work towards. We are in our 30s and we've been working corporate jobs for a really long time. Eric has been at his place of work for almost 15 years, and I have been practicing law for 8 years. And for the first time ever, we finally had a tool that could give us a crystal clear picture of our finances and help us to set measurable goals and then track our progress as we work to achieve them. Have a bias to action and do one thing each day to help move yourself forward. There are a lot of things that I've wanted to do for a really long time, like years, and I've never done them simply because I've never really started. But just in the last 2 months, we have started this financial journey and this YouTube channel. And with both of those things, my goal is the same. Do one thing each day to move myself forward, even if it's a really small thing. Some days, all I do is just make some minor edits to a script that I'm working on for my next video. But by the end of the week, I have that script ready to go so that I can film it on the weekend. Now, of course, I have other goals that I want to reach along the way, but I can only do that by doing that one thing. So if your goal is to pay off credit card debt or to get out of credit card float, you can break that up into small steps so that you can do one thing each day to get yourself closer to that goal. Set attainable goals and fail small. The best thing that you can do is set goals that are measurable, attainable, and if you mess up, just do it better the next day. Set attainable goals for yourself that make it feel like they will be easy to achieve. Maybe that's just checking YNAB once each day. Maybe that's that you want to spend $100 less on food this month than you did last month. With any goal setting, it's really a mental game. If we fall off the wagon, we think, uh-oh, I've failed, and we tell ourselves that we're a failure, and then we just stop. One of the most valuable lessons that I have learned is to fail small. If you miss a day, then start again tomorrow. If you don't have a productive morning at work, guess what? You can have a productive afternoon. You can always start again. Even if you make one decision to splurge, that's probably not going to be the one thing that breaks the bank. It's the accumulation of a whole bunch of those decisions. So instead of giving up on budgeting altogether and throwing the baby out with the bathwater, instead, we can always start again. Every decision is another opportunity to make a choice that reflects the priorities that you've set for yourself. If you need a reminder of what your priorities are, write them down and revisit it anytime that you're feeling conflicted or having a really difficult time saying no to spending the money on something that you don't need. Now, finally, let's get over to the computer and talk about using credit cards in YNAB. Before we really get into this, I want to take a moment just to give a little bit of background of where we are in our credit card journey. We have a lot of credit cards. Eric is really nerdy about the credit card churn game and getting points and miles and all of that, and credit card rewards and all of that. So we do have a lot of credit cards. And we have managed to have really strong credit scores because the way that the credit system is calculated is really wacky, and your debt to credit ratio is one of the biggest factors that they take into account. So if you have a lot of credit available to you and very little debt, then your credit score is going to skyrocket, go very high. So we have, I think, like 16 credit cards that are connected to our YNAB account. That might sound crazy. We are very careful with our credit cards. I would say before we had YNAB, things did get a little bit out of hand here and there where our credit card balances would be higher than they should be because we just simply didn't have visibility. So with that, we now have a complete picture of all of our credit card spending, and everything is green for us now. So if we needed to, we could pay all of our credit cards off today, and we would still have plenty of money to be able to pay the rest of our bills and then also have savings on top of that. So that is really a credit to YNAB because we were able to do that, really quickly because we just kind of battened down the hatches on all of our discretionary spending, and we were just really careful with what we were buying, and we brought our spending down quite a lot because we just had visibility into it at that point. So now we have complete green on our credit cards. We can pay everything, and we know that we have that fully covered. So we just have everything on auto pay. It's very easy. So that's really a credit to YNAB. We would not have been able to do it without YNAB. So that's the kind of story of where we're at. So with that, let's get into the demonstration. Okay, so here we are in the YNAB platform. If you are not familiar, YNAB, or the full name is You Need a Budget, is a budgeting tool that is accessible online through the web application, as well as they also have a mobile application as well. I really prefer to do most of my budgeting from the web application. I just find it to be much easier. The mobile application is really good for when you're on the go, you're out at a restaurant, you're at the grocery store, you're at the mall. So it's really great for that purpose, but I really find the full budgeting to be much easier from the web platform. So I'm going to go through a little demonstration here of how to manage credit cards in YNAB. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of give you the lay of the land here. Here on the left-hand column, we have our menu and our accounts. And then in the main part of the page, we have our budget. Now, I have pre-populated some of this budget. This is a demo budget. It's like the most basic possible budget that you can have. I wanted to keep it super simple for this purpose. So first, I want to go through just what it looks like to make a purchase on a credit card. So you go to a store and you make a purchase, you use your credit card to pay for that purchase. So I'm going to just kind of do a little kind of demonstration here. So what we're looking at here is this individual has already paid their rent. They have $2,000 in rent that they pay every month. They have $200 in utilities that are already paid. They've paid a $500 car payment. They've paid $10 in gas. This green here means that they still have $40 available for gas this month. They have paid their $100 cell phone bill. They have $500 that they have set aside for food for the month, and they've spent $150 of that, so they have $350 remaining for the rest of the month. They have a pet, and so they have $100 set aside a month for per month for that pet, and they've spent $50 of that. They also have a little bit of a clothing budget, $50 a month for clothes, and they've spent $40, so they have $10 left. And then they also give $200 to charity. And then they do have a little bit of savings, but they've not put any savings in this month. This is savings that they put in a previous month. And so it has carried over into this month. So with all of that, we can see that this individual still has $300 in their account, in their bank account, that they have left to assign. So we can see over here in our accounts that this person has $750 in their checking account, $1,000 in their savings account. This person has $300 left to assign. And so we are going to go ahead and pretend that this person goes to a store and they want to make a purchase. So they have a thing that they want to buy. And so let's say that that thing is $200. So what I'm going to do is I am going to input a transaction. So I'm going to go to my account. I'm going to go to my credit card because they're going to make this purchase on a credit card. And I'm going to add a transaction. I am manually putting in the transaction. If you have your bank accounts linked to your YNAB account, then you can have transactions auto-populate in here, which is I just prefer it that way. I just find it so much easier to not have to input every single transaction. So I'm just going to manually enter them here because obviously this is not a real person. They don't have real accounts. So the payee, and let's just say, the thing store, because they want to buy the thing from the thing store. And then I am going to put it on the category of the thing I want to buy. And this is the thing. And I'm going to record this as a $200 outflow, meaning it's money that's leaving my account. It's going out of my account. What YNAB does is it treats a credit card transaction essentially as if you are making that transaction with a debit card or cash. That cash is coming straight out of your bank account and you no longer have it available to you. And really, this is what we are taught when we are little kids in kindergarten about money. Don't spend money you don't have. We do this all the time, as Americans at least, that we spend money on credit cards that we do not physically have yet. Maybe we're projecting that we're going to get our paycheck in 2 weeks. YNAB does not let you assume that you're going to get another payment this month. It only looks at what you have today. So there's no projection, there's no forecasting. It's only what you have in your bank account today. So what I'm looking at here is I've gone ahead, I still have $300 that they're essentially dollars that do not have a job yet. I've not given them a job. And I really like to think about this in like very literal terms, like each dollar is a little worker and I have to put that worker on an assignment somewhere. And so I have 300 workers here who have not been given an assignment. And here you can see I put in that $200 transaction for the thing this person wanted to buy. And so we have $200 that's showing as activity. And now it's showing that I have overspent here as $200 overspent. That's only because I've not actually set aside any money. I don't have any workers to make that purchase. So to do this job, I don't have any workers to do this job. So I need to assign some workers to do this job. Lucky for me, I actually do have 300 workers available. So I'm going to go ahead and put 200 here because that's how much I've spent. Great. Now I only have 100 workers who don't have a job. So you can see a couple of things that happened when I did that. This amount here for the thing I wanted to buy is no longer yellow. It's at 0 now. So I don't have any money left in this category. But I do have that $200 that I've already spent as activity. And so now I'm just netted out at 0. I don't have anything left to make that any additional purchases here for the rest of the month. And then that amount has actually been moved up to my credit card. So now that $200 that I spent on the thing I want to buy is now available for me to make my credit card payment when it's due. Now let's make another assumption. Let's say that instead of putting $200 to charity this month, this person actually sent $400 to charity this month. We now have, this person has given $400 to charity this month, and they only have $100 ready to assign, 100 workers that are available to be put on an assignment. So now if I go in and I decide, and this person decides that they want to make a purchase of the thing they want to buy of $200, and I go ahead and I put that transaction in to the thing store for the thing I want to buy of $200 as an outflow. And what you can see here is even if I go ahead and assign the $100 that I have, I don't have enough money to cover this spending. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to say, okay, I'll have $100 that I can put towards this, but I don't have any money left. I have no more workers available to assign. I can't do this and make it 200 here because I just don't have that money. It's just not true. So at the end of the month, I can't trust this budget because I don't have the $200 to send to the credit card company. So I'm never going to assign, as a rule. I cannot and will not assign more than what I have. So I will go ahead and just move this. And so what I see here is some yellow these yellow numbers. And this yellow number here means that I have overspent on my credit card by $100. I don't have any more money left to assign here to this category to make this purchase. I also have a yellow up here because I am going to continue to have a balance of $100 on this credit card once I've made the payment of this $100 that I did have available. So that's $100 essentially of debt. If you make a purchase on your credit card and you do have enough money available in your budget to cover that spending, then you can go ahead and just do that, and YNAB will automatically move that money up toward your credit card so that you have it available to you for your credit card payment. Everything will be golden, or rather everything will be green. If you do not have enough money in your category to cover that payment, then you can do a couple of things. If you have money available in other categories that you've not yet spent, you can move money to that category to cover that spending. So in this case, I actually do have additional money that I can pull from. I have $350 here in my food budget. I have $50 in my pet budget. I have $10 for clothes. So maybe I have decided that I'm actually okay moving that $10 to cover the thing that I wanted to buy because I don't need to buy clothes. It's not that important to me. And maybe I've already made all of the purchases for my pet this month, so I know that I'm not going to need to buy anything else for them because I've already bought them food, so they're good to go. And then maybe I also know that I have a full gas tank. That'll be plenty for me to get through to the end of the month. So I'm going to go ahead and move all of that. Great. So now we've covered all of that spending. And now our credit card amount is green, and we're netted out here on the thing I wanted to buy. So I've now covered that purchase. So that's what you do if you don't have enough money in your category. Now, let's say hypothetically, if you did not have enough money in your category, or you just didn't, you knew that you were definitely going to need these dollars to cover spending in these areas before the end of the month, and you actually don't have that, you can't move that money, then you're going to have to essentially treat this as debt. Again, I really want to be kind to ourselves here. When we say treat it as debt, it might sound harsh, but what I try to do here is hold this as simply a fact and not as something that I'm going to dwell on. I'm simply going to make a better choice next time. Maybe I didn't need this thing I wanted to buy. Maybe I could have waited until next month when I would have had more money available to me. So I'm going to go ahead and just treat this as debt. What I would recommend once you have credit card debt, obviously $100, you can probably figure it out the next month. Maybe you'll pay a little bit of interest, not a huge deal. If this is a much larger number, if you have, $10,000 in credit card debt, whether it's $100, 10 cents, or $10,000, we're going to treat it as debt, and we're going to figure out a way for us to pay it off. So what I would recommend is, to the extent possible, stop using that credit card, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a target to pay off that debt. And if your target is moving because you're still spending, it's going to be more difficult and more complicated to track it and to plan for it. So if you can, stop using that credit card. And if possible, sort of if the math makes sense, you can also look for a way to transfer it to do a balance transfer to a 0% option so that you're not paying interest on that debt in the meantime. If you do have to pay interest, it's not the end of the world. It's not fun, but it's not the end of the world. And so we're going to go ahead and create a debt target to pay off this amount. So YNAB actually gives you the option when you click on this credit card, because it sees and knows that this is credit card debt. It gives you this option right over here on the right-hand column to go ahead and create a debt payoff target. I'll go ahead and I'll just click that, and I'll say, okay, I want to pay off this debt by May of 2024. So I know that I want to pay it off in just a few months. I'm going to save that target, and YNAB is going to create a debt payoff target so it knows that I want to go ahead and assign $20 this month to stay on track. So maybe I decide, okay, I really am okay to, move $10 here and $10 there to cover that $20 to be able to stay on schedule with my debt payoff target that I've set. If I don't and it carries over into the next month, that's okay. It'll redo the math for me so that I know that I actually need to then set aside, a little bit more in the following months in order to meet my payoff target date. If you need to edit it and you actually can't pay it off until July, I can go ahead and just change that date. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to treat it like debt, and then we're going to move on with our lives and hopefully get to the point of being debt-free. And that is how you manage credit cards in YNAB. So thanks for joining us today. See you next time. Be kind to yourselves.